Hello, my name is Jason Shimokuro, and this is my Quaker Values final presentation project. In this video, I'm going to be talking about one of the 5 Quaker Value spices. I'm going to be talking about why I chose this value. I'm also going to be talking about how this value relates to my personal life and my type of leadership. And I'm also going to be looking at some observations of me actively living out this value. Okay, so first off, what even is peace? Peace is pretty much solving a conflict through means of not using any violence at all, because we want to keep peace. And the reason why I chose this value to talk about is because I always think of myself as a very peaceful person. I always love to stay away from any kind of acts of violence as I was growing up, and that's just how I was growing up in life. I always like to think of the more positive ways of solving problems instead of looking at the negative side and getting violent, especially when it comes to solving conflicts in either my family, with my friends, at work, especially at work. Since I am a CNA, I work with, other CNAs, nurses, doctors, patients, and the patient's families. There's always seems to be conflict that happens either with patient to patient, patient to family, CNA to patient, and then the doctors. Obviously, don't even get me started on the doctors. And also even in public too. I live and grew up in Hawaii, the beautiful island of Oahu, and there always is conflict in any ports of, fast food restaurants, waiting for the bus at the bus stop. Always seems to be conflict, and I always like to try get in between the two, separate them obviously, and try to break up the constant word jabbing at each other. And yeah, that's pretty much why I chose it. And then how I see this fitting into my own life. Well, like I just said, I like to always make sure the things don't get out of hand. Always like to make sure, like I said, peace is what we all want. We never want things to get escalated and get out of hands, and then hopefully no one gets hurt. You never want that. And I feel like nowadays, with all the gun violence going on and all this increase in politic talk, it's really hard to keep that peace. So I definitely would like to incorporate myself into changing those points and stuff like that. Observations made while intentionally living out this value in life. So some observations that I clearly have seen while living out this value would be my parents. Whenever they get into a discussion, sometimes unfortunately it does get out of hand. I wouldn't say it turns too violent, but it gets to a sort of violence. And some observations I see when I separate them, I tell my dad to go in another room and calm down. Observations I see is that my siblings, they're obviously looking during the discussion or the conflict is happening, and instantly when I separate my dad and tell him to go to another room, my siblings, they go back to what they're doing. They are not, or they go outside, and yeah. And then obviously my mom's more calm. My dad's not there to argue to him about things. I'm stopping things from pretty much escalating to a higher degree. Another observation I see is with my friends. I have 2 friends that always argue whenever we try to make plans, because one wants to do one thing, one wants to do the other thing. And then I wouldn't say things get too out of hand, but arguing definitely gets there. So some observations I see when trying to separate or solve that conflict in a very peaceful way, because again, that is one of my values. One observation I see is that my friends, when I are trying to help out and not really separate them, but calms things down, my other friends will also come in and help me and calm things down. Like, hey, maybe we can do both today, or or we can do this because of the type of scenario that's going on. More of a reason why we should do his guy's plan rather than yours. It's not that yours is a bad idea, it's just that his seems more suitable for this situation. And again, the observation I see is that my friends are actively joining in the conversation and helping out to solve this conflict, and most of the time it works. Sometimes it doesn't work, it's hard, but yeah. And that is pretty much my presentation on one of the values I've chosen, which is peace. One key takeaway that I could say about this presentation, or peace, is that I would just love to see more peace out in the world. Like I said before in this presentation, we don't really see much of that, sadly, nowadays. Again, the gun violence, the increase, thoughts about politics, and just all the stuff going on around the world. But I hope things can take their course, and we can solve more problems in a more peaceful manner. And yeah, thank you so much.